Hey guys, go back to the channel, or if you're new, welcome. We're gonna get back into my Amberlynn Reid content. So back for the newest video, which by the looks of it, Amber is gonna be arguing with Salty Crab. It's gonna be one of those videos. Quick heads up, my scoliosis is currently playing up. I woke up this morning and I am in not immense pain, but it's enough to nearly make me cry. So we're gonna try getting through this video and not be just the snappiest bitch. But I'm gonna try. That's all I can say. Let's get into it, shall we?
Okay, you guys, so I actually just got out of the shower and I wasn't gonna do this. This was not gonna be something that I was gonna do.
Well, if we decide to ignore every single time in your life that you have played the victim card, Amber, we'd probably maybe at most have a handful of just experiences that you have, and only then that's because you can't explain the shit that you've done, so you choose to ignore it.
And now that I have like a whole YouTube schedule going, I don't know where this would fit in my schedule. I want to get this out like now.
Here's the crazy thing about a schedule, Amber, is that even if you do have a schedule and you have videos planned for that day, you can always upload another one because there is nothing stopping you from doing so.
So I don't normally do reactions to reaction channels, but I feel like I'm done like zipping my lip, you know?
Even if you don't dedicate videos specifically reacting to reaction channels, you still do talk about them constantly, so it's basically the same thing.
And when it comes to this topic, it's near and dear to me. Obviously, I had cancer. It was traumatizing. I genuinely thought I was gonna die.
Really? Because as far as we know, you haven't really gotten checkups, nor have you changed your diet, which is a massive contributor to getting cancer in the first place.
I had to do invasive surgery at over 500 pounds because of my cancer.
No, you did invasive surgery at 500 pounds because you chose to be 500 pounds and refused to seek help. Like, you could have done it a lot easier and you would have recovered a lot faster if you weren't 500 pounds and sought help like you're supposed to.
So for another YouTuber to create a nickname, Raglynn Bleed, well, already they're hypocritical, they're biased.
You're also conveniently leaving out the fact that you threatened to strike their channel, which is why they created the nickname in the first place. Like, that was on you. You also chose to free bleed, which was not something that your cancer forced you to do. Like, you chose to free bleed. Like, that was completely on you. You could have used multiple alternatives in order to fix the issue, but you chose not to and destroy other people's property because of your pure laziness.
I have made it very clear on my Instagram that that is fucked up.
You know what's also fucked up, Amber? You were attempting to start shit between a mother and their child while they were going through cancer treatment. That mother is no longer alive, and you were bragging about how they should be grateful for the money that you were going to give them, but didn't. That's fucked up.
I've also made it very clear during public live streams and during my members only live streams. And this YouTuber just keeps going back and forth with me, trying to like twist the narrative of why they, named me Raglynn Bleed when it's very obvious why they did it. And they're trying so hard to like turn it into like an okay nickname.
Amber, they're not making fun of your cancer, they're making fun of what you did because you had cancer. Two very different things.
So my friend sent me this message that you are seeing here.
Alrighty guys, so we're going to suspend our reality just for 1 second and pretend like Amber actually has friends. Like, this is definitely not Amber in a dark room wearing another wig on a sock account messaging herself. Like, she has friends, guys. Let's just pretend for a second, shall we? Right through it all, I'm just learning about who Salty Crab is, and I watched her new video, and the first 5 minutes is still her talking about cancer and bleeding. Right, so your friend is going to watch reaction channel videos about you, where they're incredibly biased against you because of the actions in which you do. So they're going to be negative, and they're going to watch them be negative towards their friend. Great friend you have, Amber. Absolutely perfect human being. She has no human decency for you. You're absolutely right when you say these people see you as a character. Reality TV show, low budget one too. I can't imagine having my life, my love life, my family, my healthcare, and my private conversations dissected and showed to the world. Well, the thing is, most of that was your choice to put out to the public, and the stuff that isn't is being shown because you're a piece of shit. Like, don't blame the messenger, blame the message. If you have a problem with you being exposed for being a bad person, stop being a bad person, and people will stop exposing you. Like, it's that easy. But they're going to make you stronger. Yeah, right, because the person who crashes out every time they get criticized is going to be strong-willed, and they'll hate to see it. And Amber replies with, OMG, I chose not to watch Salty's new video because of the title. I thought you don't watch reaction channel videos, Amber. So were you lying when you said that? Interesting. She is so biased, it is sick. But if she mentioned my cancer, I think I'm going to listen real quick. Yeah, listen real quick. We all know that you're going to watch it 3 or 4 times because you probably wouldn't understand half the jokes that she makes, and then you're going to have to try and figure an argument, so you might have to take notes down like a 5th or 6th time. You got to really comprehend it. And then the totally not fake friend replied with, she definitely talks about it. She even mentions the pics you posted on Snap of you bleeding and stuff, which I didn't know about. She's trying to make a different narrative about why she called you that name. Really? Because I don't remember her changing the narrative. It was because you free bled for 2 years. Like, that was in fact what you did.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to react to this first 5 minutes because I want to know what they say. So let's do it. I want to be able to respond. By the way, this YouTuber does not show their face because they're too scared.
The irony of you calling someone else scared when you yourself refuse to talk about certain allegations that have been put out against you is just chef's kiss.
So all you need to hear is their voice. Let's do it.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Happy Thursday. And before we get started today, I just want to talk a little bit about what happened last night, or should I say very early this morning. If you missed it, Amberlynn went live for about an hour and a half, and it was pretty much just a part 2 to the members only stream she did, because it was almost exactly the same thing. She was, in my opinion, very manic. She was crying.
Here we go. She's shaming my mental health.
Okay, so mental health shaming?
Right, 2 things. 1, she was not shaming your mental health. She was making an observation by pointing out the fact that you were manic, which you were. So that's not an insult, that's an observation. Secondly, how are you going to talk shit about other people's mental health, but then scream, my mental health is being insulted? Like, girl, get over yourself.
1 second laughing, the next second acting very just above it all. While
I'm telling you, my moods genuinely are bouncing back and forth. Like 1 minute I am crying, 1 minute I'm laughing, 1 minute I'm doing both at the same time. 1 minute I feel despair, 1 minute I feel hopeful. It is what it is. That's where I'm currently at right now with my mental health.
There you go. You in fact admitted that you are manic. Where's the insult?
still having to get digs in on people. Most of the things that she said was just her repeating what she said in the member stream. In my opinion,
a lot of people don't get to see, so I'm glad that I had that public live stream for people, because some people can't pay for my members only.
Yeah, that might be true for a couple people, but most people aren't going to pay because they don't want to pay for that dog shit experience.
I felt like she was doing that. She did the stream because she kind of wanted to get the attention off of Beck and Destiny's video from...
Definitely not. Beck and Destiny's video genuinely sucked. Like, okay, screenshots from 9 years ago. I'm sorry I was hurt. I'm sorry I was desperate for attention.
I'm sorry that I was an abusive piece of shit.
Earlier yesterday, she wanted to make everybody talk about her and what happened in the live stream. But honestly, like I said, it was just a repeat of the other night. Nothing really...
And yet you watched it, didn't you?
God, the ego. Like, my dude, calm down. They're a reaction channel. That's their job. Like, they do it specifically because they enjoy the drama, and they also like the fact they can monetize it and make money off it. Like, that's why they do it.
You came out of the stream, and I don't think I'm gonna cover it because as I was...
Don't.
It's great to you, mate, but she's not one of your girlfriends. She's gonna do it regardless of whether or not you want her to.
Watching it, nothing really stood out to me. She was mostly just reading the nice comments people were leaving.
I think I know why they're actually talking about this, because in that live stream, I straight up asked Salty Crab a question, and I think they might be answering it right now. So I'm actually glad that I'm reacting to this, so let's hear the answer.
I would love to know the question, because Amber's acting as if she ate, which, I mean, she did, probably just not the question.
She was ranting about everybody who she doesn't like, crying over, like, girl, we saw it all before, and it was more entertaining in the member stream. But I do want to address one thing, and like I said before, I'm not going to do a back and forth with Amberlynn.
But yet you are.
There's really no point to it. There's nothing.
But yet you are.
I mean, true, there's not going to be any real point, but at the same time, I think it would be funny to watch because Salty Crab is vastly more intelligent than Amber.
Yeah, I can say to her that's going to make her just all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, you're right. I apologize.
Because you're not.
To
Hold on.
her just all of a sudden be like, oh my gosh, you're right, I apologize to anyone.
Honey buns, why would I apologize to you?
Not just her, Amber. Anyone. She said anyone, meaning any of the people that you have hurt.
Like, there's nothing to apologize to you for.
She's gonna think she's right about everything until the end of
I'm not right about everything. At all.
time.
Yeah, you got that right.
Even the things that she admits she did wrong, she has a reason for or an excuse. And it's usually blaming some.
I bet you're not perfect at all. I bet you made your fair share of mistakes. So it's like these people who want to like point their finger and be like, you're not perfect. Well, bro, you have several fingers pointed back at you because neither are you.
That really is such a narcissistic argument because it's like, well, nobody is perfect, so you have no right to judge me or the things that I've done. Well, most people aren't abusers, Amber. We have the right to criticize you because we haven't abused other people. Like, that is something that most people have not done.
Someone else or her BPD, but she did.
Oh, do you hear the mocking of her BPD? More mental health shaming.
Yeah, and this right here is the reason why you don't do reactions, because you can't even understand the criticism in order to criticize it yourself. She's not mocking your BPD, she's mocking the fact that you use it as a shield for criticism.
Like, when does it end?
Did ask me personally to tell her why in my video from almost a week ago, Amber, like you're still going on about it, but...
And you still go on about things that happened years and years ago just because you need something to talk about because your whole channel is monetized based on talking about me. So yeah, I am going to talk about something that happened a week ago that genuinely hurt my feelings and my jaw was on the floor because I was like, making a joke out of my cancer is not okay.
I mean, to be fair, your jaw probably has had a lot of practice being that far open.
She wanted me to talk about or tell her why I called that character Raglynn Bleed. Why did I use the word bleed? First of all, it was a stupid joke.
It's not a stupid joke. So if you say something that offends someone and it genuinely hurts their feelings, you apologize, right?
I mean, honestly, to me, it kind of depends because some people are overly emotional, and if you make a joke, especially to someone who often treats other people like shit, no, like, they don't deserve it because, like, frankly, why should I apologize when you do far worse to other people? Again, also, she wasn't mocking your cancer, she was mocking the fact that you were disgusting.
Isn't that what you're trying to teach your audience, supposedly? Do it then. Or do you have too much ego, too much pride, afraid your audience is going to get mad at you?
It's funny that Amber thinks she's making a point when in reality, it's the complete opposite. Like, you're just making yourself look like a bigger idiot.
This is a silly joke. I wanted a word that
Not a silly joke.
rhymed with your last name, so I used the word.
There's a lot of words that rhyme with Reid. I mean, I can think of one right now. Feed. That'd be a lot more funnier than bleed.
Right, because Amber never would have screamed fat phobia. Definitely didn't do it when people were calling her a feedee and her girlfriend a feeder. Like, she never did that.
Bleed. But also, the joke was not about your cancer as
Yes, it was.
much as you try and say that it was. What it was really about was your laziness. The fact that you made the choice to not seek medical treatment when you knew that you should.
So, first of all,
Alright, here we go. Let me guess. I wasn't the only one who did this. There are plenty of other people who also do this. So you're shaming me, but you're also shaming them. So therefore, you're shaming all of us because we had cancer.
one of the very first things that I did when I was diagnosed with cancer, because I was told to do this, was join forums of other people who have the same cancer as me. And in doing that, I realized we all had one thing in common. 95% of us waited and waited and waited. We had these symptoms and we just waited months, or some of us waited years. Some people waited even longer than me to see a gynecologist. And there is multiple reasons for that. Fear, embarrassment, feeling ashamed, anxiety. Some of us then begin to believe like, okay, maybe actually these symptoms are normal, or actually it's really not that big of a deal.
Alright, so this is going to be a little bit ignorant on my part because I am a biological man, but fear anxiety should not hold you back from seeking medical help. If you have an issue and you need to go see a gynecologist, you need to do it because cancer is much easier to treat in the early stages than in the later stages. And yes, it is very invasive and it's something that I will never have to deal with. But you can't just say, alright, I have a fear of going to the gynecologist, I'm going to ignore the fact that I'm free bleeding all over the place for 2 years. Like, you can't just do that. I'm sorry, it's not fair. It's never going to be fair. That's just how the world is. And your health means more than a little bit of fear or anxiety that is going to be temporary if you go get help and find out that you do have an issue and can potentially fix it before it gets too late.
I did go to the doctor. I actually went to the ER a few times. And every single time I went, they told me I had all this blood and I had the pain in my back and it was due to a UTI or it was due to a bladder infection and all of these things, but that wasn't the case.
I could be a little bit wrong on this because I am a little fuzzy around the ER situation, but didn't she go because she was having bleeding and abnormal discharge from her belly button, not from the other area? Like, that's the reason why you went to the ER.
Should I have gone to a gynecologist sooner? Sure. Does that make me lazy? Fuck no. Does that make anyone else who has also had uterine cancer and they waited a really long time to be seen until they were diagnosed, does that make them lazy? No.
The funny thing is, even with your fear and anxiety, Amber, it came down to the fact that you were insecure about your body and insecure about the way you smelled. And if you weren't lazy, you would have showered. You also would have lost the weight, so you wouldn't have had your fears or anxieties in the first place. So she is right when she says it was because you were lazy. Like, that's completely on you, girl.
Do they deserve to have a nickname like that? No.
Because you knew that, oh well, someone else will just come and clean up this mess for me.
Clean up this mess?
And when I say that you expected everyone to clean things up around you, you know exactly what I mean.
If you're talking about my blood, I made sure that that was nowhere. There was blood nowhere. Did you guys ever remember that mattress that was out in the living room? That was one of the reasons it was in the living room, because I was scared to get blood anywhere. I never got it anywhere. If I wasn't wearing a pad, I was wearing a rag. I was very anal about that because it was embarrassing. Like, I was always bleeding.
And that right there is the reason why you should have went to a gynecologist, because if you were using pads and rags and stuff like that and you were still bleeding through, something is severely wrong. There's no way in hell that you could be using those things and continue bleeding through and then not be a problem.
Sometimes it was heavier than other times, but it was genuinely an awful experience and it was very embarrassing. I never made Beck do it. Who else was there? Oh, are you speaking about my roommates? Because I had roommates? Hell no, that is so embarrassing. That was 2 guys. Like, are you joking?
Right, so you were too embarrassed to get Beck to clean up your blood, but you weren't embarrassed enough for them to wipe your ass and clean out this shit-covered face cloths? Like, how does that make any sense, Amber? Like, one is much worse than the other.
I handled all of that by myself.
Yo, you get out of here with that bullshit. Not a single person believes you.
Just because I was having all these symptoms, it didn't make me a selfish or disrespectful person. I wasn't gonna sit there and make a mess. Like, what? The fact that you're even insinuating that is hectic. And that's for a lack of a better word.
I mean, you're definitely right about that, Amber. Like, you getting cancer didn't make you a selfish person because you were selfish way before that. And you're gonna sit there and tell us that Beck did not, in fact, clean up your messes. Like, they wiped your ass, they cleaned your shit-stained covered rags, but they didn't clean up your blood? Why should we believe that?
You're the one who said you had to use rags instead of using feminine products. But who washed those rags, Amber? Who
Me. What?
changed those rags, Amber?
Me? What is happening? So you called me Raglynn Bleed because you're assuming that Beck washed my rags.
I mean, yeah, technically an assumption, but at the same time, Beck has already said they washed your washcloths that you used to wipe your ass with, so what is the stretch to say that they also washed the blood out of your rags?
I genuinely think this person needs help. Like, more help than me. Like, I admit I need help, but so do you.
There is no way in hell that you just said that. Like, absolutely no way.
What?
Amber, who probably had to scrub those rags out in this.
No one scrubbed a rag in a sink because of my cancer symptoms. That never happened.
Sink, Amber. Bet it wasn't you, and you were just fine with
It was nobody.
them having to do it day after day.
It was nobody.
I don't honestly believe for a second that Amber has done that.
Week after week, month after month, year after year. You intentionally did not go to the doctor.
I didn't intentionally not go to the doctor.
You did. You had these issues, you could have gone, and you didn't. That was intentional.
for that, when other times you would go to the ER for cellulitis.
Yes, because cellulitis is an infection that if it gets in your blood, you can die.
Yeah, and you know what also can do that, Amber? Cancer.
So yeah, I did go to the ER for that. So I can be on antibiotics because that's the only way that cellulitis can go away. So I'm sorry.
Or the time that...
Just the arrogance of her trying to make a point that doesn't even make sense because she doesn't know how cancer can work.
you needed stitches in your hand.
Yes, I literally still have that scar. But yes, I needed stitches. I'm sorry, I stabbed myself in the hand with a knife.
This wasn't a case where you had a fear of the doctor.
This is genuinely like you invalidating my experience. But you know what? I don't expect anything less, anything more from you.
Amber, you are aware there's a difference between invalidating an experience and invalidating a feeling, right? Because those two things are not the same thing. Like, invalidating an experience would be Salty Crab telling a lie in order to be perceived as the truth, essentially gaslighting. Like, that is what you are accusing Salty Crab of doing, which is not the truth, because they said you did not go to a gynecologist, you waited, which is what you did.
I had no problems going to the ER, but in this situation, you decided to ignore it. You even admitted that you took an online quiz to see what was wrong rather than seeing a doctor. And even then, when the quiz told you what was probably wrong, it still took you another month before you went to the doctor.
There you go. She just explained it too.
Yeah, out of fear. And I also kept lying to myself because my whole life, like even in high school, I had irregular periods. Doctors always told me it was because of my weight. Like when you're really overweight and when you're really underweight, your periods are very irregular. So I did keep lying to myself. I was like, this is happening because of your weight. So the more I lied to myself, the more I made it seem like, oh, it's just because of my weight. So it still doesn't give you the right to make fun of the situation.
You expect other people to take your physical and mental health seriously, but you refuse to do the exact same thing. So you believed that your heavy bleeding was because of your morbid obesity and not because of cancer, so you chose to stay morbidly obese. And then after you did a test and you found out you could potentially have cancer, you decided to wait a whole last month after that. Do you not see the hypocrisy in your own statements? Like, oh, I had cancer, it's such a serious thing, I could have died, but I waited a month. But nobody has the right to make a joke of it, though.
And when you did finally go to the doctor, you took pictures of your underwear and the crotch of your pants.
I did. Actually, it was Beck who took those pictures. We were absolutely shocked with how much blood I was losing. Like, I was losing so much blood, and that was only the beginning of it, like the pictures that we did take, because then it got worse and worse. At that point, I was having to be rushed into an emergency D&C. I was losing so much blood that like I could have died.
Regardless of whether or not you took those photos for other reasons, the reason you post them on social media was for a sympathy post. Like, that is the entire reason you did it.
Yes, Beck had their phone and they were taking pictures because it was genuinely so shocking. And I remember Beck was texting my mom and like keeping my mom updated. And during that, Beck sent those photos to my mom because it's like when you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, Amberlynn is like gushing blood. You know, you imagine something, but you don't imagine like how bad it actually was.
Most well-adjusted people with average intelligence would know being rushed to the ER is not a good thing. So if you're gushing blood from your crotch area and you're being rushed to the ER, you wouldn't need photos to realize, oh shit, the situation is bad.
And the floor and all the blood everywhere, and you put them on Snapchat for your viewers to see.
Yes, I did put them on Snapchat. So this was during the time where I was like, I cannot believe that people think I am lying about cancer. And it was quite a few people. Like when Nikocado Avocado uploaded that video insinuating that I lied about cancer, like I was being harassed more than ever. And like it made my mental health so bad. I ended up filming a whole video, like bawling my eyes out. Like I showed my actual medical paperwork, which was really embarrassing.
I personally have not seen the paperwork, so I can't say 100% whether or not Amber is telling the truth, but Beck has said that it is in fact real and Amber did have cancer. And I am more likely to believe Beck than I am to believe Amber, so I'm going to take what they say as the truth until I see evidence of otherwise.
And in that same like impulsive state of mind, I ended up posting those pictures on Snapchat as a way to be like, I did go through this. This is exactly what happened to me. Do I regret doing that? No. But it is very pathetic that I even had to do that. that it actually got to that level, that I had to show something so private. It honestly feels demeaning. And this person right here is like making fun of me.
Regardless of whether or not you took those photos for other reasons, the reason you post them on social media was for a sympathy post. Like, that is the entire reason you did it.
Because I did that. That's really, really sad.
See, but you have a problem with me making a silly joke using the word bleed?
They don't have anything to do with each other.
Really, Amber? It's also come out that you ruin people's personal items.
Because what?
Because of the bleeding.
If you didn't stop halfway through a sentence, you might be able to listen to what they say and form an actual opinion that isn't just half-assed sarcasm.
I never ruined anyone's personal items because of the bleeding. Nothing. At all. Zero. Zippo. Nada.
You made your ex drag a mattress in and out of the living room for you to sit on it so you wouldn't make a mess.
That is actually the truth. I would have done it for Beck.
But that's bullshit. You couldn't even stop abusing them, let alone actually do stuff for them.
When you're in a relationship and you think that you love the person, it's supposed to be a safe, comforting, caring environment.
Right, so then can you explain to the rest of the audience, Amber, why you were in a safe, caring environment for almost every single one of your girlfriends? In fact, actually every one of your girlfriends.
Think for 2 seconds. I'm pretty sure you would have dragged the mattress into the living room as well if you wanted to hang out with your partner and you knew what they were experiencing. I think when people imagine my bleeding, I think they're imagining like Carrie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie. It wasn't like that until I was rushed to the ER. Then it was very much like that. But on an everyday basis, it wasn't like that. I did not get blood anywhere.
That's the thing, Amber. It's either you're telling the truth or Beck is telling the truth. And out of the two of you, Beck is the one that doesn't have a history of lying about anything and everything.
So let me keep hearing why you're making fun of my cancer. Let's keep going with your excuse, because still, I don't get it.
And did you do anything about that? Did you try and get it looked at for at least 2 years?
Like I said, I went to the ER for it and I went to the doctor and they sent me home with a UTI and antibiotics.
No.
I mean, that is the thing, because I don't remember her going for specifically that reason. Like, I remember the belly button, the discharge and the bleeding, but I don't remember her going for the other thing. Like, I just don't. So if someone does remember that situation and can tell me whether or not she did, I would be really appreciated, because I don't remember that at all.
Because you thought, well, someone else will clean it up. I don't feel like
No one cleaned up anything. There was nothing to clean up.
going. But somehow that's my fault for using a word, for saying the word bleed.
You are so dense. If you actually think that I'm upset because you used a word, you're making fun of me. You're making fun of an experience that altered my whole life.
Amber, I would tell you to take several seats because you got no leg to stand on, but let's face it, you're already doing that. But since you want to get up in your feels about them doing that exact thing about you, let's talk about what you did to Narcolet, making fun of their heart attack. You know, you couldn't find a sympathy bone back then, but now you're expecting us to find one?
Really? And before you fix your mouth to call me an ableist again?
You are.
If you ran with your legs as much as you run your mouth, maybe you wouldn't have to worry about screaming ableism.
And try and say that your medical issues were due to your size.
They are.
You sure had no problem getting to Lexington.
What? During that era of my life, I went to Lexington maybe once. I'm finding it hard to understand, like, what that has to do with you making fun of my cancer. Like, you're reaching so far that I am in fear you're going to pull a muscle. So calm down, please.
I mean, that's a feeling that you probably never experienced.
7 times to go to the Cheesecake Factory. So how was there a problem getting to the doctor? Maybe if the gynecologist would have served orange chicken, you would have gotten checked out sooner. But
there it is. You're ableist, girl. Just admit it.
Yeah, girl, where exactly is the ableism in that? Because I don't see it.
You're fatphobic. You're biased. You lack empathy and sympathy. And you can't admit when you're wrong.
that's all you're getting from me, Amber, now.
Rules for me, but not for thee.
God, this video was a shit show, but thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoy, and hopefully get to see you lovely people in the next one. Bye-bye.